Here we go. Here we go. Got another I-35 Realty show on this Saturday. I hope everybody's heading for cover. It looks like we got some thunderstorms coming through. So we want everybody to be safe and cozy while they're listening to the I-35 Realty show. Of course, you can reach out and get us at 888-559-5217. Or if you want to send us an email, it's radio@i35realty.com. Check us out on i35realty.com. And you got Bill, your trusty KW agent for the Central Texas area. And we got Alex on the boards. You know what, Alex, I forgot to say this. We were sitting here talking about everything else under the sun. I loved your article on Sunday that you did on about the cell barn. So that was a great article that you did there. We got to mention that. So we got Alex on the boards, and we got a great guest that's going to come on in a few minutes. Ann Ferris is going to share with us. Every quarter we pick out a charity to talk to. God has blessed me so much to have the opportunity to come on the radio and talk to the Killeen, Temple, Belton, Central Texas area, and I just really want to pay that back by taking some time and talking to some of the charities in our area, talking about what they do and how we as a audience and I can help them out with what they do for our community. And again, like I said, we have Ann Ferris we're going to be talking to here. She is part of the Food Care Center. She also is the Assistant City Manager for Internal Services over in Killeen. And I can go on. We have only a short time, about 20-some odd minutes to talk. And, Dr. Ferris, she just we could talk all day just with her about her. Just say this. She's got it going on. I mean, she is just an amazing person. And one of the amazing things she does is she works and takes care of the Food Care Center over in Killeen. Dr. Ferris, how you doing today?
Couldn't be any better.
Well, it's great. And I know you were busy this morning doing a 5K run, weren't you?
That's right. That was a great way to start off really early this morning after we closed down shop kind of late last night with the food drive.
Well, right. I mean, this is a very busy time of the year for, the Food Care Center. How much do you know how much food you got over with the food drive?
You bet. I can tell you that the final count last night was 107,431,000 pounds. So 107,431 pounds of food that we brought in a day's time.
Wow, that's just amazing. That's just amazing. Well, we want to talk about the Food Care Center and what. And Dr. Ferris, I'm just going to put it out here right now, kind of early in the conversation. People stop eating after Christmas Day, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. That's the last of it.
Yeah, right. That's the last. You close up shop.
And goes home.
Yeah, you close up shop, and that's the end of that. But the Food Care Center runs year round, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of as you're alluding to already, people need to eat year round. So it's 365. It's one of those 24/7, 365 kinds of opportunities.
Right, exactly. I love that term that you just used, an opportunity for us as a listening audience to help our fellow man and woman in child when they're in need. Talk to us. What is the Food Care Center?
The Food Care Center is it's a ministry. It's a faith-based ministry. Sometimes I think the faith is more God having faith that we can actually pull this off than it is us having faith in Him. Possibly that's two-way traffic on that street. But we are a ministry. The logo, when you first walk in the building, you'll see our logo and a drawing that says we stand in the gap. Our intention in the gap with people when they're hungry. We can't be their final and total solution. Our intention is to try to provide enough food for 10 meals, 10 days, 3 meals a day each month. So we think we can handle that part of the share of making sure that people have something to eat.
Great, great. What kind of facilities you guys have over there?
Well, we have two buildings, kind of Haydite brick buildings located right next to the railroad tracks. We would tell you that the kids say we're located in the bricks. We're just on the west side of the Killeen Housing Authority, about 3 blocks behind the main post office. It's on 10th Street. So we're just a little bit off of downtown. Two big buildings that used to be storage and transfer buildings. They were the companies that had been functioning out of there relocated. The property wasn't sold. It ended up being abandoned. And we wrote grants so that both of those buildings now belong to us. So we have about 22,000 square feet, 10,000 on one side of the road and 12,000 on the other. The smaller of the facilities, 10,000 square feet, and it's not small, is the one where we provide groceries for folks. Across the street is what we call the annex, a little bit larger, 12,000 square feet. And that's where we have household goods and clothing, that sort of thing, available that people have donated that we get a chance to recycle to see if there's somebody else out there who could use them.
Cool, cool. Now, who are the people and volunteers that are involved at the center?
Generally speaking, I bet the average age of our volunteers, they wouldn't be glad to hear me say this, I bet the average age of our volunteers is between 65 and 70. We operate during the day, so clients can come Tuesday through Friday from 9 to 1. That already lets you know that the people that can most readily come help us are folks who have retired. We have between 55 and 60 volunteers. Some of them come all day and stay all 4 days of the week, and some of them come and stay a little while. They're volunteers. They're in charge of their lives. They help us as they can and when they can. There are 5 part-time paid staff that supplement that crew, and it is those folks plus our churches and our friends that really equip us and make it possible to do this work.
Great, great. Now, how do you get your donations? We just talked about the food drive that you just had, which, of course, involved a lot of the grocery stores, the military's involved, several service clubs are involved in that project. And then you had the 5K run. I think it was called the Turkey Run, wasn't it?
That's right.
Right.
Turkey Trot.
Turkey Trot, there we go.
Great fun.
Right. Now, how do you get your donations for the support of the Food Care Center?
Well, if I were to show you a pie chart, and QuickBooks is equipped to help me do that, if I showed you a pie chart, you'd see that about 20% of our economic kind of support comes from writing grants like United Way or Fortunate Officers Spouses Clubs, or grants to Walmart, Baptist General Convention of Texas. So we write grants for a portion of it. The churches help us. Probably round that up and give us 50% so far. The churches help. There are 232 churches in town, in Killeen, and 17 of them help us really, really faithfully and generously. So that ends up being about half of the monetary donations. The other half comes from individuals, regular human beings like you and me, who make a contribution, a donation once a month, once a year, PayPal, cash, checks, whatever works for them. Now, that helps provide the money that's used to pay the bills, and, it's a heck of an electric bill when you have a space that big with coolers and freezers in it. So that provides that portion of the support. The food itself comes from a number of places. We rarely have enough peanut butter and jelly. Those are expensive kinds of items to purchase. So elementary schools will call us and ask if we need some help, and we always say yes. And when they ask what, we ask them to bring us what they would like to have if they were coming in. So we usually get peanut butter and jelly from kids, from students. We go to our local H-E-B on Tremere and get salvage food. That doesn't sound attractive, and it's just fine. The health department has rules and regs that we follow closely, and they regulate us. They inspect us pretty often, as well they should. So expiration dates are really more like best if used by dates. So when it gets close to that date in a grocery store, they put it to one side, call it salvage food, and we pick it up, and we get to give it away. That happens with our Walmart in Killeen, with our H-E-B in Killeen, and with the Walmart Distribution Center over in Temple. Those are huge.
Okay.
Then All of our HEBs in Central Texas let us have the bread and the pastry they don't sell today, that day-old bakery concept. We don't really have one in Killeen because we go pick it up the next day and we give it away. Those are major sources. Then food drives like the one that we just had, again, that was about 107,000 pounds of food. Moved twice. We collected at the sites, 8 different sites yesterday, and then moved to the special event center and weigh it and sort it and put it in boxes and move it to the food care center. Those things all make it possible for us to give away about 2 million pounds of food a year. It's about a $3 million value, and it's about 2 million pounds. We can buy food at a far reduced price from Cavalry Food Bank. They're part of America's Second Harvest, located in Austin. It is those things that make it possible.
Okay, great. Well, you did talk about some of your fundraising programs, other than the ones kind of around Christmas and Thanksgiving when people, this is kind of top of mind. Do you have any other fundraising that you do during the year?
Yes, sir. I think our favorite one is called the Unbanquet. One of our board members, we have a really active board, it's a working board. One of our board members kind of conducts that fundraiser each year. And she sends an invitation and an explanation of need to about 200 people. And in that letter, she says, if you'll give us money, you don't even have to come to a banquet. So we call it the Unbanquet. That usually generates about $15,000 for us. The turkey trot, which we just had today, the medium's the message. A food pantry ought to have a turkey trot, and we did. The weather held off,
good.
And good crowd and lots of energy. The turkey trot will generate about $17,000 as well. Then HEB, which is kind of a foundational partner in pantries throughout Texas and Mexico, they are really the ones who stood those up across this part of our world. HEB has something called the Help End Hunger Campaign. They run it for about 2 months in the summer, and we get approximately $11,000 from that. So those are our 3 major fundraisers that we have each year.
Great, great. Now, how do you qualify to receive groceries and other personal items from the Food Care Center? Who do you guys serve?
I think for me, this is the best question you could ask me and the best answer I could give you. There is no qualifying. When Gerald and I said we would start doing this work, and it's been 10 years ago, the deal that we made with God, and someday God may want to talk to me about making deals, but the deal we made with God is if you'll make the food show up, we'll give it away. We'll be really good stewards of other people's time and other people's money, and we'll give it to whoever comes in the door saying that they need it. It is possible that some of them come in the door and pull our legs. My guess is that there's a small percent that does that, but the vast majority, 95% or more, are people who, for whatever reason, need some help getting through the month. So there's no qualifying. Come on in. Tell us you're hungry. We go to work to help you.
Great, great. And you mentioned a name in that, Gerald, and who?
Yes, my husband, Gerald. Gerald and I do this work together, especially since I took the job as assistant city manager for Killeen. That's almost 2 years ago. So the first 8 years, Gerald and I were up there every day, both of us, doing this work. And then when I took the job with the city, he took the present and on-site everyday job, and he has that portion of the responsibility. And I get to do our marketing and our grant writing, and I'm our accountant, which should scare somebody, and I'm our IT guy, which should scare some more people.
So there's a lot of need of not just of the people needing the food, which of course is top of the mission of the Food Care Center, but there's a need for actual kind of the service stuff to keep those doors open. Correct?
Yeah.
What would be a list of those needs that you would have?
The kinds of needs. I'm having a little trouble hearing. I've got a rainstorm going out here, Bill.
Okay. If I had a special skill set, what are some of the skill sets that you're looking to fill in?
In our volunteers?
Yes, ma'am.
That's also a good question, and I'll tell you what I've learned. And again, Gerald and I didn't know anything about working in a nonprofit or a warehouse that had food in it. We're both educators by training, and what we've learned early on is when someone offers to help, the answer is yes. And then my job is to figure out how to take the best advantage of that help. So there's absolutely no skill needed at all. If you're willing to smile and be kind to people, because my guess is that they actually need kindness more than they need food on some days. If you're willing to do that and stand on a concrete floor for 4 or 5 hours a day, then you are all in as a volunteer. Now, here's what some of the other volunteers look like. Eagle Scouts help us every year. They'll contact us, they'll ask what we need, and they'll build us something. We have some benches out front now because of Eagle Scouts. We will have people say, I'm not very good at cooking, but I can do art. And they'll do some artwork for us, and Christian-themed artwork that we can hang there in the Food Care Center. Or they'll say, we'll decorate some baskets or some grocery sacks, and then we'll give those to children when they come in to get food. So there's really not a way to be useful in this work. It's a pretty broad spectrum of needs that we're responding to.
Okay, well, great. I stole something off your website, which in a second I'm going to ask you to
Good for you.
give this. I'm real good at that, Dr. Ferris. How can someone assist in the mission? And it said, standing in the gap for people who are hungry at the Food Care Center in Annex. And that's really what this is about, is your organization with all your volunteers are there to stand in the gap for people who are hungry. And I guess I'm assuming there must be a need. Is that true?
Yes, that's absolutely right.
Kind of, how many people do you serve, or how many people have you served this year? Do you know that?
I'm always surprised by this number. I appreciate your asking me. The average is about 8,000 client visits, about 8,000 faces each month. So over the course of the year, it looks like, it's kind of depending on the ups and downs, and this work has a rhythm like most work does. Probably about 80,000 people over the course of a year we distribute that 2 million pounds worth of food to. Okay. The number continues to grow, and it's an interesting audience. You'll see there's some people that they get to come once a month, so you can almost set your clock by them. You know that you'll see them again because they still need help. There's some people who just need help just one time, so they can kind of begin to sort their lives out. And there'll be a new face to you, and then strangers. So it's a wide variety. Probably 53 to 55% of the families that we're helping are children. And that always tugs at my heartstrings. In Central Texas, there's no reason for anybody to be hungry. We have enough food. And children shouldn't go to bed at night and be hungry.
Yeah, that's what really something, and I've heard you speak before about the Food Care Center. What really impacts me, I don't know why we have this idea of, just these preconceived notions. But the real notion when I talk to someone like you, Dr. Ferris, is that there are kids involved here. And like you said, I'm not going to sit there and ask a lot of questions. We want to make sure those kids get fed. Is that true?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If we have a good memory, if we're willing to remember, Bill, we have all made mistakes. We've all had lapses in judgment. We've all purchased something that we had no business purchasing, couldn't begin to afford it. And then once you have it, then you have to start making some hard decisions. So lots of times the people that we're looking at day in and day out just made a couple of bad decisions, and they're trying to sort their way out from underneath that. Pretty humbling experience. And I can tell you, when I was teaching out at the college, if a student would come to me and say they were discouraged or kind of depressed and ask what could they do, I'd say, go help somebody. When you help somebody, it's amazing how much good it does for you, more than it does for them. So it's that world, and it's our community. This is the place that Gerald and I love. This is where we want to do our debt of service, and it is a joy, no kidding.
in the few minutes we got left, Dr. Ferris, is there something that I missed in talking to you about that you want to share with us?
I would tell you that at the annex across the street, we have used clothing, used household goods. If you know someone who's hungry, if you know somebody who needs some of that stuff, that is what we are there for. It's our mission. It's our delight. And people often ask, how can you help? Well, you can donate. That's an easy answer. You can volunteer. Of course you can. You can bring us food. Of course you can. You can pray for us to make sure that we continue to be good stewards of other people's time and other people's money. Make sure we live up to the promise that we made. And you can spread the word. Help people know there is help. There's no reason to go without help.
Right. There's no reason at all. Dr. Ferris, how can people reach you? You got a website, you got a phone number, and a location.
Yes,
can you give us all that?
The website is, oddly enough, www.foodcare.org.
Okay.
Always welcome to do that.
Okay.
And once they get there, they can find the phone numbers, they can find advertising that will help them know the location, the address, the dates, and they're always welcome to email me. And it's Ann Ferris at embarkmail.com. And it's foodcare at embarkmail.com.
Well, Dr. Ferris, I really appreciate you. I mean, again, people don't realize how busy you've been the last couple of days to come and visit with us on the show. And we really appreciate your service, appreciate your husband and the rest of the volunteers that are doing God's business. You have a great weekend.
We'll do that. I'll pass the word on, Bill.
Thank you now. Bye-bye.
It is my pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Okay, so that was Dr. Ann Ferris at the Food Care Center. I really appreciate the work people are doing. I want us to remember that, again, they don't stop eating after Christmas. So think about them all through the year. You are listening to I-35 Realty Show, and you can reach out to us at 888-559-5217, radio at i35realty.com. Of course, visit our website at i35realty.com. Next week, speaking of somebody that's got it going on, we're going to have the attorney, Thomas Baird, the real estate attorney, that he's going to come share with us some more wealth-building secrets of the rich and famous. I love having him on, so we're going to have him on. I look forward to you guys listening to us then next Saturday. And you can always, again, reach out to us at 888-559-5217. This is Bill Vernon, your Keller Williams agent for the Central Texas area, and we appreciate this time, and we look forward to talking to you guys next Saturday. So you take it easy, and we'll see you again. Bye now.